Hello, and welcome to the Wildlife Divas Book Launch 2022 with New Degree Press. I'm your host, John Saunders, for the show today. So excited to be here and share with you this amazing story and meet some of the wonderful guests we have here today. Before we get started, I would ask, just for fun and to make sure we know how to use the tool, please, if you would, drop in the chat on whatever service you're on, YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, and tell us where you're calling in from. And certainly feel free to share some comments in there. We're going to have some fun today. Lisa's going to give away a few books, and we're going to have some quiz questions as well. But really excited about this opportunity to share Lisa's story with you. So if you would, drop your city, country, wherever you'd like to say in the chat here, so we know where we're calling in from, and we know that everyone knows how to use the chat. As I said, we'll have a few fun quiz questions along the way, and Lisa will give away some books to people who get those right. William Clarence Marshall. This might be a friend of Lisa's, it sounds like. Present and cheer to support the Wildlife Divas. Outstanding. Tony, all the way from Ottawa. Great to see you. Las Vegas, welcome. The Harlem Renaissance, love it. Heidi, thank you for joining us today. Heidi, great to see you. I think somewhere on the East Coast, if I recall correctly, of the U.S. There he is. So great group jumping in here. Oh, I see. Looks like the Mommy series. Is that Mama? Oh, no, that's something else. Thank you all so much for joining here today. So as I said, I'm the host of the show here today, John Saunders. I'm the executive author coach with publisher New Degree Press. And just a quick nugget about New Degree Press before we kick off, for those who might not know. It's the largest book publisher probably no one's ever heard of, or very few have heard of, unless you're in our community or have had some friends that have done it. But this is a community-owned publisher, and it's one of the fastest-growing companies in the U.S., which has really just been an incredible journey to be on. It ranked number 293 on the Inc. 5000 list last year, which is just extraordinary. We've now published books on 6 of the 7 continents. If anyone out there has a friend in Antarctica, please send them our way. That's the last one to check off the list. But the success has been driven by the mission. New Degree Press has a mission to empower all to tell their unique story. And we've now published over 1,200 authors, which is just incredible. And the current group that's going through the coaching program right now is over 300. So this number is only going to get bigger. So today, a real honor for me to host Fortune 500 retiree and debut author Lisa Randolph for the launch of her new book, The Wildlife Divas Adventure Team, Saving the Endangered Mountain Gorillas. After we hear from Lisa, we'll meet some of our new friends from Uganda. Stephen Masaba, head of the Ugandan Wildlife Authority, David Gonahasa, co-founder of My Guerrilla Family, and Kevin Bayarugaba, I think I got that right, Kevin, hopefully, apologies, owner and operator of Let's Go Guerrilla Safari Tours in Uganda. Little context here. I spent over 23 years working on Wall Street as a salesperson and sales leader for all those years before I became an author and began a career as a coach. And I had the great privilege to meet Lisa about a year ago, January 2021, in a one-on-one coaching session. And I can tell you in that session, the mission of New Degree Press became very clear to me that day, because I asked Lisa, why did you write this book, The Wildlife Divas Adventure Team? And her why, her answer, it left me speechless. Today, we're going to hear about her mission, how she developed her passion for helping young girls learn about STEAM, her passion for wildlife conservation, and how she found herself face-to-face with a mountain gorilla in Uganda. We'll also hear from our special guest from Uganda, learn about this incredible journey, and why Uganda has the absolutely gorgeous nickname that it does. So thank you for jumping into the chat here and getting a little bit of a sense of what's going on and telling us where you're from. Let's see if I missed anybody. Just going to check that one real quick. If anybody gave us some notes here, we've got California. So many time zones covered here. North Texas, people from literally all over the world. So just an absolute pleasure and exciting time to be here. But without further ado, I want to put up our first quick quiz question and giveaway to start this session off. So please, if you would, answer this question in the chat. What percentage of DNA do humans share with the mountain gorilla? And here's your choices. You can just put the letter in A, B, C, D, 98, 52, or 73. And whoever answers the question first, Lisa's going to send a free book off to. Just please drop her a quick email and we'll get that out to you. Anyone have a guess? A, B, C, or D? Just drop it in the chat and we'll get this figured out. But a pretty pretty stunning question when I learned the answer to this one myself. Mike Bjarnes, Philadelphia. Welcome, Mike. Do you have a guess on this? A, B, C, or D? C. Let's see. Did somebody get it right? No. Good guess. Let's see. Who said it first? I think somebody just got it. Bear with me one moment. Yeah, I think it was Mike Bjarnes that got it right first there. 98%. It is hard to imagine that there is another creature out there that we have so much in common with. 98% overlap. And we're going to learn even more about the mountain gorilla out there, and certainly how many of them are left in the world, and just the extraordinary lives and stories that they've lived. So I think it was Mike Bjarnes that got that answer right, if I caught it here correctly. Let's see. Oh, Cleola, maybe you guessed. Oh, no, Cleola got it right. Cleola Davis. Nice work, Cleola, on 98%. So without further ado, let me bring on our featured and amazing guest here today, author Lisa Randolph. Lisa, so great to see you. So fun to be here with the book launch, and congratulations on getting your book off the ground.
My absolute pleasure to be here. I just want to thank you, John, for hosting this event, and thank you for everyone who's joining our call. I am so excited and so appreciative of everyone that's here today.
Thank you so much for those words. And if you'd like to connect with Lisa, you can certainly find her on Instagram at Wildlife Divas. So, Lisa, you've got this book off the ground. What did it feel like to get that book in your hand for the first time when you got that big box for your pre-sale buyers?
You mean this book?
Oh, yes, that one.
It was the most exciting thing that's happened in a very long time. This was 10 years in the making. So to finally hold this in my hands and say it's finished, this was a very long journey. I've had some ups and downs. I had some rejections, and now it's here and it's ready to go.
Unbelievable. Well, congratulations once again. And so tell us, Wildlife Divas, Lisa, what's the book about?
So this book is about young African-American girls who travel the world to help save endangered species. And each one of the characters has an attribute of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And so the book is basically to show young girls that they have these options available to them, areas of study that they've never considered before. I know we always tell everyone you can be a doctor, you can be a nurse, you can be a teacher, but I want them to know that they can be an ecologist or a conservationist or a zoologist, or they can study animal sciences, and they can travel the world. And that's what I wanted to bring to these young girls through the pages of my book.
I love it. And the intersection of technology, future careers, wildlife conservation. So I think that begs the next question, which is, it takes a lot of energy and time and passion to get behind a book, because it's a journey to go through, right? It's taken you a year just in really focused time, but as you said, many years beforehand to get this off the ground. So what drove you, Lisa? What was your why that really pushed you to make this book happen?
Well, I worked with a nonprofit after school program for at-risk girls. It was in one of the toughest neighborhoods in San Francisco. And a lot of these girls are seen as problem children, or they have behavioral issues. But I saw more than that. I saw past the difficulties in their behavior. I saw their genius, and I saw that these girls could easily be overlooked. And I wanted this book to bring these girls forward. And so I wanted to be a very positive, enlightening, encouraging. I wanted these girls to see themselves in the pages of this book. And I wanted them to think that I can do this too. Maybe one day I'll be a scientist. I'll work in technology. So I definitely want to bring that to the forefront.
It reminds me of a story you told me in one of our very early chats about a young girl you worked with that, from sort of 10,000 feet, you might have thought, oh, geez, here's a troubled girl who's not going to get very far in life. And you saw her brilliance, you saw her intelligence, and you challenged her to think a little bit differently and to help her out, and saw a pretty big change in the trajectory of her life. Did you not?
Absolutely. She went from, having bad grades in class to getting a scholarship at UC Santa Cruz and graduating. So that's one of my biggest stories that made me understand why my job was so important for these young girls in particular.
That is absolutely incredible. Now, your book is a tool, a vessel to help these girls on a much bigger scale. And it's just so exciting. And I'm so proud of you in getting this done and this
Thank you.
beautiful mission behind it. So, what was it like getting a book off the ground? How did, tell us about that journey. What was that like?
Well, it is a journey indeed. There are lots of ups and downs, I promise you. Maybe about five. So this was 5 years, in the making, and then another 5 years to actually get it published. So I got a lot of rejections. People weren't interested in the story. My last big situation was I pitched a book to a literary agent, and she absolutely loved the story. And she said, make sure you query me. I want this book. I want my daughters to read it. I want to read it. And it took about 9 months to hear back from her, and it was a rejection.
Hmm.
But that rejection only pushed me forward. I have this saying that no matter what, I keep stumbling forward. No matter what obstacles come up, I'm just going to keep stumbling in a forward motion until I get it done. And I found the Georgetown Creator Institute. I came on board, and with the help of my developmental editor, my marketing revisions editor, we got this book finished to the finish line.
Absolutely incredible. So
Yes.
a 1 year journey that took 5 years, I guess, is what it
Yes.
sounds like to
Yes,
me.
indeed.
So you highlight a key part of the story is where the girls not only using their gifts in STEAM, but where these girls go to and the mission they go on. So how did you choose Uganda for this story?
Well, I chose Uganda. Well, number one, I was looking for the list of the most critically endangered species on the planet. And it happens so to be the mountain gorilla in Uganda. And well, the largest population of mountain gorillas was in Uganda. And so I chose Uganda. What I didn't know, and during my research, um, and my subsequent visit to Uganda, I had no idea that it was one of the most beautiful places I would ever visit in my entire life. I absolutely love Uganda.
That's amazing. And how long did you go to Uganda for?
I was there for about 2 weeks back in September and October. I actually celebrated my birthday in Uganda. It was a great. I felt so welcomed and so at home, and it was fantastic.
Where in the world might you compare Uganda to, having traveled a bit in your life?
What would I compare it to? I don't think I can. I always say that when you want to know where the origins of mankind is located, it has to be Uganda. It's just simply that beautiful. You'd have to go there yourself, and you're welcome to come along to see for yourself. It is the most spectacular place, from the waterfalls to the rainforest to the wetlands to the River Nile. It is absolutely the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life, and I've been a few places.
And I think you went on a gorilla safari while you were there, right? What was that like?
I did indeed. Well, it's a challenge. Number one, it's a challenge. You definitely have to be in a little bit of shape to get up those mountains, and that moment that you see the gorillas in their natural habitat, not in a zoo, but their natural habitat, and they're walking around free. I can't even tell you what that did to my heart. It was the most, and especially since I'm writing a book about mountain gorillas, and it happened so I wrote the book before I actually had the experience. And I can't believe how I got it so close to right, and how the in the book, the way I write it, it definitely gives you a sense of being right there in the jungle with the gorillas. And oh my goodness, I actually had one. I kind of ran, but I had one come directly in front of me. I just kind of backed up a lot. I backed up a lot to get out of her way, but I could reach my hand out and actually touch her. It, It was incredible.
Face to face with a mountain
Face to
gorilla.
face.
I
Yes.
think you shared a statistic with me a while back about how much they can lift or something like this. Do you remember this number?
Well, I could about 4,000 pounds, I believe. They have the strength of 20 men. 20. Yeah. It's incredible to know that you're standing there with this brute strength and to see how gentle and human-like they are. It's incredible. Yeah.
And as you said, there's only 1,063 left. That's unbelievable to think
1,063
about.
on the entire planet. Yes.
Thank you for sharing all those great nuggets about Uganda. Last question before we bring Stephen on here. What has been the most unexpected and exciting thing that's happened to you along this book journey?
All of it. I never thought that this book would have such an impact. I mean, I knew I had something, but I didn't realize the impact it would have. Um, Meeting Stephen Barugaba, he made it happen. My trip to Uganda, it was his tour company that took us around the entire country. It was a wonderful experience, and I plan on going back very soon. Um, in May, I'll be going back to Uganda for a book launch there. So that's another exciting thing that's happening for me right now is that I will be traveling back to Uganda.
Absolutely incredible. Well, thank you for sharing all those stories. I can't wait to learn more about all the exciting things going on in Uganda from Stephen here in just a minute. Let me put another question up on the screen here for the folks to, Lisa can give away another book here in just a second. Let's see, I'm going to go with this one. This is kind of a fun one. Where or what is the second largest freshwater lake in the world? Anybody know the answer to this one? Who's maybe somebody knows, or they got quick fingers? Where is it? Oh, I think I messed this one up a little bit.
It's okay.
My mistake. Sorry about that. Oh, somebody, 1,063. That's right. I think Cleola might be on point here again. Right. Of course, Africa, it's Lake Victoria. It's the second largest freshwater lake in the world. Just the only one bigger is Lake Superior by surface area, for my friends in Eastern Europe that have called me on that one before. But second largest freshwater lake by surface area, Lake Victoria, next door right there in Uganda. Absolutely incredible. So it looks like Cleola got that one first. Thank you for jumping in there, Cleola. Excuse me. So let's bring Stephen Masaba on now. Stephen Masaba, head of the Ugandan Wildlife Authority and Tourism Board. Thank you so much for being here today and joining the program.
Yes, thank you very much, John and Lisa. I hope you can see me here.
Yes.
This evening, I want to thank you, John and Lisa, for bringing me up to the team on this historic night when we are launching a very wonderful book that will create a transformation in tourism and the conservation of the great apes that you have. Lisa has talked very well about. Yes, my name is Stephen Masaba. I head the tourism and investment division of the Uganda Wildlife Authority. And the Uganda Wildlife Authority is a government body that's mandated to manage all the wildlife in this country. And many of the people listening may know national parks where we have animals, but we also have reserves, but some animals choose to live outside those protected areas. So we have the mandate of managing all this, whether they're in protected areas or not. And the purpose for conservation is to ensure that the current generation can see some of the species that we have, and they can live and see, the future generations can also see and enjoy the nature that has been bestowed into Uganda. So I sit in a very privileged and honored position of looking after and ensuring that the mountain gorillas, the chimpanzees, the elephants, the lions, and all these beautiful animals in this country do not go extinct, and that they continue to live forever. And we work as part of our mandate with communities, government agencies, other stakeholders, academicians, and students, and anybody who wants to support us to ensure that we continue to conserve these resources for future generations. And we are very delighted and excited that Lisa has come out to show a very good support by producing a book that will empower children with information and can also reach out to a number of people that we wouldn't reach naturally in a normal way of tourism and travel, so that many people learn about these giants, the mountain gorillas, and also plan to come and visit them. In that way, they'll be contributing to the country's economic life stream, but also be contributing to the communities where these animals are, but also supporting the work of conservation mandate that I am involved with me in at Uganda Wildlife Authority. So I'm very, very pleased to be here and honored to be part of this program.
It's quite an unbelievable job you have out there, Stephen, to work with, protect these animals and keep them in their natural habitat. Where would you say your passion and energy for conservation came from? I mean, that's a big job and a big responsibility. It must take a lot of energy and passion to make that happen.
Yes. Thank you. I think this to me is a calling. I have had some jobs in the oil industry before. I've also worked with a beer industry. So after doing a lot of work in those areas, I wanted somewhere where I can feel more involved, somewhere natural, where I can, take care of something that goes beyond my own benefit. And that when you do get involved, your impact goes beyond your country. I now sit in Uganda Wildlife Authority, and I do work that touches literally the whole world. Now, some people travel from US, UK, Germany, South Africa, and all this to come and see what we conserve. And I'm very happy to offer, one, the information for them, two, to guide them and ensure that they get the best experience in this country. And also, we generate resources from tourism that we share with the communities and the whole tourism value chain for anyone who steps into the country. So it gives me a lot of satisfaction in what I do. And also being able to share a platform with John and Lisa very far away from here, but also connected with the conservation theme. And I'm very privileged to be part of this.
That is an incredible story, and love to hear people working in and around their passion and something that gives them energy in life. And this global footprint and reach that you have must be incredible. I'll put Lisa's question to you, Stephen. Maybe you could give this some thought. What do you think has sort of surprised you along the way, or been a pleasant surprise for you in doing this type of work in your career?
Say that again, John.
What do you say has been the most rewarding part about working in your career? A pleasant surprise.
Well, first of all, we do, as you've heard, Uganda is very well endowed with all the resources in the whole world. We sit on the equator, and we have freshwater lakes, we have mountains, we have nature, we have good people, good cultures, and so on. Now, some of this is all put in one country called Uganda. And I do have access to all these resources. I do move as part of my work to go and see and benefit through this. But the most important thing is when you see a person coming from so many kilometers, reaching here, and they feel they have arrived. They think you have completed their life cycle. I think Lisa is one of these. I've had her many times. She says it. She's really a great advocate, promoter, and ambassador of this country. And yet she has come here, I think, only once or twice. I think once. So you can see somebody who has felt at home and happy with the nature. And that makes me feel much better, because through my work, I have impacted on a number of people like Lisa who come. They just want to come here to either to see one special bird, and we have 11% of the wildest bird species. Those who want to come and see Mount Rwenzori. Mount Rwenzori has ice and snow. We're supposed to be a hot and tropical country. But we want to come and see how does this country manage to have ice and snow in a tropical country. Some people come and want to compare. And this gives me happiness, because wherever people come and they leave their notes and comments behind, I read through and I feel I am adding value. And I'm very happy and excited that what we are doing today, will not stop now. I think the book will live beyond us, because the people beyond us are going to read. And I hope that Lisa should be planning to do a documentary around this book, so that those who can read can do, those who can want to see a video of what we have done should also get an opportunity.
I am planning that. I am planning a documentary. Truly.
That's good.
Absolutely incredible. Stephen, one more question for you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sure. No, I just wanted to say that the people that haven't got the opportunity that Lisa has to visit Uganda, I think they have an opportunity to do that. The travel sector has been opened now. We're getting out of difficult 2 years period, and the tourism sector is now opening, and we're ready. We think that people who have been indoors for 2 years out of the COVID situation have an opportunity to come and visit. And for some of the information that I have seen in the book that we are going to launch today, they can now experience it themselves and authenticate the write-up that we have done. So it's my call to the world to come, and we shall give them what we gave Lisa, even more.
I love it. I love it. Stephen, one more question for you before we bring David on. You know, when you first heard about this book that some woman in San Francisco is writing about Uganda and saving the gorillas, how did that make you feel?
Well, first, I met Lisa on her visit here. And two, it was difficult to trace her because she has a long program, but also I didn't have time. But when I phoned and spoke to her, she has passion and the energy, and also really interested to know more. I provided some information, but not all. But I really found somebody that is keen to learn about the country, but also fully devoted to the purpose that she was driving. And I'm happy that after all these so many years of thinking through and engaging so many of us, the book has come. So I'm very thrilled and happy and honored to be part of this thing. And I hope we'll continue to have her come to Uganda again and do a similar launch in Uganda so that everyone comes to know about this book and comes to read and even go through the journey that she went through in Uganda.
Well, you've certainly sold me, Stephen. I'd love to come down and check out Uganda and go on one of these tours. It sounds absolutely amazing. If folks want to learn more about Stephen's work, you can find him on Instagram at UG Wildlife, and certainly Google the Uganda Wildlife Authority and find out a lot more information. Thank you for sharing that story. And what an incredible journey on both sides of the table. And up next, we'll bring on David Gonahasa, the co-founder of My Guerrilla Family, to ask him about some of the questions in the work that he's done. So let's bring David on here. See if I can get David to pop on here. David, welcome to the program.
Oh, can't hear him.
Oh, I think you might, your mic's not working.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, welcome.
Great. Thank you very much, John. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. Great to see you.
Good. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you again.
Likewise.
Yes.
David, thank you for joining us on the program here today and supporting Lisa's book launch. I'd love to first, if we could, find out, how you became involved in gorilla conservation and saving the gorillas.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. It was purely by mistake, I keep saying. We run a company that was doing tourism, and we always saw was that when we took tourists to gorilla areas, the community involved in the process of conservation, but also we began to learn more about the gorillas themselves and learn about the numbers and learn about how grave the situation was. When you hear that there's only 1,063 gorillas left in the wild, and you try to relate that number to 1,000 people, that is one nightclub, and that's what's left in the world. You start to think, we need to do something about this. Now, initially, we never really knew what to do. And actually, I have to attribute a lot to my co-founder, Mr. Fidelis Kanyamunyu, who actually grew up in the gorilla area. So he lived in the community, and when he came up, when we began to talk, he said, listen, we must do something. So initially, the idea was, we could do festivals just to create awareness, because that's a very important thing. Before you start doing all this, cool conservation stuff, it's important for the world to actually know what the real situation is, to know what 1,063 means, and then thereafter, we just, I kept going back and forth to the gorilla areas, and I fell in love. I fell in love with the forest. I fell in love with the gorillas themselves. And it's a fun journey trying to do something about it now. Of course, with a lot of help from Uganda Wildlife Authority and Mr. Masaba as well, and that group. It's been a very interesting journey so far.
It sounds incredible. And I have to say, it is. I've learned so much about Uganda in the last year working with Lisa and preparing for the program here today. And I've just been astounded and enjoyed the pictures that you shared and things I've seen from the Wildlife Authority website and Instagram page, just incredible. And I love that your story came about kind of by mistake. I think you said certainly some of the best things that happened to me in life, I think, have come similarly, sort of trying something out and it sort of worked. So speaking of which, My Guerrilla Family, David, what is that about, and what's the mission of your work?
Thank you. So there's one main insight that we base on. Actually, before that, it's the fact that conservation today relies on either revenues from trekking, so people who can pay for permits. If it's not that, it's then going to be revenues from donor funding, and we all know that donor funding is not very sustainable. You can't keep asking for help constantly. It's important to create other ways to fund conservation. Can you create value from conservation? And I think tourism tells a very good story, because what happened is when people would go to protected areas and they pay for entrance, that money goes towards funding conservation. Now, unfortunately, when COVID happened, people could not travel, so there was no money being paid out to these conservation areas to do what they had to do. So at that point, it was important to find other ways to try and do this. And we thought, well, technology. Okay, and we had one very interesting insight: the fact that technology will reach anywhere in the world. You can actually reach so many more people. You can make conservation more appealing. But more importantly, we knew that mountain gorillas lived in family groups, and human beings, they live on their phones. Right? So the idea was, can we get mountain gorillas as their families onto people's phones and try to create a connection, try to move away from the standard conservation video. And by that, I mean, your typical Nat Geo type video, and move this to some more relatable connections. I keep saying that some of the biggest celebrities in the world are people on TikTok and many other platforms that don't do very much or say anything in some cases, but using their actions are able to drive a very strong following of people to support their causes or be part of what's happening. I'll tell a story of one African artist who said, "My Rolls Royce is packed in a container somewhere, and I need all of you to give me $1,000." And I think he raised $700,000 in 3 days. Now, this is purely because he's been able to create a following of people who believe and trust in him, or people who just like him. Can we make mountain gorillas likable? Can we create a connection between human beings and the gorillas? Can we have your non-typical conservationist to actually take interest? And by that, here is what I mean. For a very long time, conservation has been something done by old people in suits who are saving the world. But then young people want to be a part of this. And the only way you make them a part of this is by making it cool and making it relatable. And that's what we did. We pretty much said, we will give you access to the mountain gorillas. We have cameras in the forest so we can film what they're doing. We're able to capture daily feed on what they're doing. We create short videos from that. We create picture stories. We create infographics, and you sort of can follow a family through the course of their life. That's what we've done with My Guerrilla Family.
Incredible. So is it an app or is it a website? How does technology play a role in here? Help us maybe understand that a little bit more.
Great. So it's an app. It's like, I like to use the example of Instagram. It's like Instagram for gorillas. The difference is that you're connecting to specific families and you're seeing daily feeds, daily updates. You like what they're doing. That's primarily what we're doing. We'll be able to also expand this to other formats. Currently, we're only available on Android. We'll soon be on iOS as well. And we'll eventually have a web platform where you can actually have Netflix for gorillas, if you were to call it that. So you can actually see what they're doing on a daily basis. Imagine this. Okay, I'll create a scenario for you. You wake up in the morning and you can check out, oh, my family did this. One of the gorillas is sick. One of the gorillas is doing that. It's a very new way of creating this connection. So it's primarily a mobile application, but then we're also sort of expanding it. So My Guerrilla Family is part of One Wholesome Home of the Gorillas initiative. And what we're doing is trying to say, can we extend this to the communities that live around the gorillas? Can we start saying that with the money created from this subscription-based application, we can fund activities in the community, say, for example, growing of crops to sell to the lodges or creating of stronger buffer zones, because we've found a new way to create revenue. And lastly, we'll be using blockchain technology as well by issuing what I like to call a very unique conservation NFT. So the idea here is issuing 200 unique NFTs linked to actual gorillas in the wild. And then using a community element, allow people to, so what we'll do is ideally mint the first NFT, which is linked to a particular gorilla, and you get a certificate, you get naming rights, you get adoption rights, if we'll call it that. And you get some art as well with that for that specific gorilla. And then we want you to encourage other people to mint more NFTs around that specific gorilla. So you also can also earn something from it, but also really pull the wild into conservation in a way that has not been done before.
I mean, David, this story is a bit mind-blowing to me. You've taken gorillas in the mountains that have, zero tech lives, and you've brought them right up to the very moment with NFTs. How do you turn a gorilla into an NFT? For those who, non-fungible token is an NFT, by the way, if anyone who might not know. How do you turn a gorilla into an NFT? That's incredible.
So what's been happening with many conservation projects is that some art is created. Some artists will draw the picture of the likeness of a gorilla, and they'll sell that art to support conservation. We want to do it differently. We want to say that there's so many elements to this gorilla. Okay, so one, there's the gorilla itself, there's its life story, there's the ability to go and track that particular gorilla. So we created an NFT that embeds a couple of things. Like I said, one, you can give it a name. If it has one name, give it a second name. If it has no name, give it the first name. You can adopt it as a gorilla you've adopted in the forest. Okay. And then the whole world will know, because it's an NFT and it's very clear in the blockchain, the world will know that this is gorilla called, there's one gorilla, my favorite, is called Mark. It's a silverback in a place called Gahinga. So it could be Mark Gonahasa, and that's the name of the gorilla. Okay, so and hopefully that's what the world gets to actually see and know it as. In addition to that, you then are able to get one permit to go and view this gorilla at some point. At some point in the future, you're able to get art around that gorilla. So there's a package that we currently are working on that will embody this entire NFT concept that we're working with, to give value to the person who buys this NFT, the person who invests in this NFT. So that's really what we're working around. So aside from just giving art, can we add a bit of utility to it? Can we give you a chance to see it, a chance to connect to it? Can we give you the family application where you can actually see this gorilla that is called your name, if we do it that way? So that's how broad we are thinking. I mean, I must say we're of course quite early, so there's a lot of steps that we're working on and learning as we build. I mean, I'll share one story. So when we put cameras in the forest the first time, we thought we'd be able to upload, either do some live feed from time to time, or upload feed through Dropbox or Google Drive. And we realized that every time the GoPros went into the forest, we were getting about 30 to 50 gigabytes of data. So it's quite heavy, especially for a fairly intermittent connection. So we found ourselves going from thinking we can do daily updates, real-time updates, to collecting data weekly on buses that have to move 8 hours. But we're hacking it gradually and finding ways around it. And I'm sure that in the next couple of months, we'll have mastered what we're doing.
I love this intersection between conservation and technology, and maybe one of Lisa's current readers of her book might be working for you someday. I'm going to put that out there to the universe. I could see that happening with the work around STEAM. That is incredible. David, what would you like anyone to know about My Guerrilla Family? We've learned a lot. Anything we missed that you might want to share with the audience?
I think for me, really, it's an download the application. It's available on Android. Check out the My Guerrilla Family website. The work that we're doing, the revenue that we create from this, a percentage of that goes towards actual conservation activity. So it's not your nonprofit approach where you're spending 80% of the funding in operational costs. We're saying that a straight 50% goes straight to conservation, and this includes funding the work that Uganda Wildlife Authority is doing. We have a community fund that also goes towards funding the activity in the communities. And by that, I mean, we're trying to say, can we empower the communities enough to make sure that they don't have to go into the forest to poach, to be able to pay to support their livelihoods? So yeah, whatever your support, your involvement in this helps us try. I can't say helps us save, helps us try to be a part of, conserving and saving the mountain gorilla.
Absolutely incredible story. Thanks for the work you're doing out there, and just amazing to hear how innovation, technology, and conservation have come to this intersection here, and really fascinating that that's really what Lisa's book is about as well, on a grander scheme for young kids. So I just love the connections here. David, thank you for joining us. I'm going to bring on Kevin now. But before I do that, I want to put one more quiz question up for the audience to see if anybody knows the answer to this question. And can answer this one for us for another one of Lisa's books. Looks like let's see. What is Uganda's nickname for those who maybe can't see the screen? Jewel of Africa, Diamond of Africa, Pearl of Africa, or the Gem of Africa? Who has a guess for us here? Everyone's feverishly Googling right now. Oh, Cleola, she's on point here.
She is.
I love it. I love it. A couple of people got it right. I'm not sure what this is. The Guerrilla Dream Team. You've got it. The Pearl of Africa, at least based on what I found doing a little research, was given by none other than Sir Winston Churchill. Stephen, David, does that feel like the right source of that nickname?
Yes, absolutely.
Winston Churchill.
Yes.
That is so interesting. Well, what an incredible nickname. And certainly from the stories we're hearing today, certainly sounds like Uganda's lived up to it. So we'll bring on our last guest. And then after Kevin, we're going to open up a Q&A for everybody. So please feel free to start putting questions in the chat here in just a minute. And with that, we will bring on Mr. Kevin Bayarugaba. Kevin, let me bring him on here. Kevin, great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, no.
Can you hear me? Kevin?
Looks frozen.
Little internet hiccup there.
Oh, hello.
Is that Kevin?
Yeah, I can hear Mr. John.
Oh, great. Oh, welcome to the show. Maybe we're having a little trouble with your video, but let's go with audio for now. We can see your picture just fine, so that's great. Welcome, Kevin.
Can you hear me?
Yes. All right. Can you hear me okay?
Hello, Mr. John.
Yes. I think we're having a little technical issue with Kevin here, getting audio.
Hello.
Kevin, you're a little coming in and out a little bit.
Hello.
Maybe what we could do, maybe Stephen could chat with us a little bit about Let's Go Guerrilla. Could you share a bit of Kevin's story for us since we're having some audio difficulties here?
Yeah.
Well, Kevin Bayarugaba is a tour operator. He's among the key persons that in the private sector that brings in business to us. But more importantly, he serves and is a customer-facing person for Uganda Wildlife Authority. We do give out information, but we cannot be everywhere. So we identify people of Kevin's caliber to go out and market. We support them with all the things we can, but then they need to go out and source for our visitors and then bring them through the chain and come and give them the experience that we desire them to do. So Kevin has been instrumental in bringing Lisa and team, and what Lisa would say is that she gave him a very good grounding and also good support, especially in development of this book, because he ensured that he touches the right people that can give support and information. So he continues to serve us. I see him now. If he can speak for himself, I don't want to say too many good things for him. Let him speak.
Can you hear us now, Kevin? Oh, shoot. I think we're having some more hiccups on the technology.
Hello, you can hear me now?
Yes. I've got you.
Now you can hear me?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. John and everybody.
Kevin, welcome.
Internet interruptions. Sorry. Sorry.
It happens. Kevin, great to see you. Stephen
Bayarugaba.
Stephen gave us a little bit of your background when we were working through the technical issues, but maybe you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got involved in wildlife conservation and safaris.
Thank you so much, Mr. John and everybody on this platform today. It's an honor today on these shows of the World Divas Adventure Team, the first launch of the book of the global educational book. I'm Kevin Bayarugaba, Ugandan, founder of Let's Go Guerrilla Uganda, and the managing director of Ishasha Kameme Heritage Group. I won't explain much about because of the limited time. Let's Go Gorilla Uganda is a free registered tour and travels company in Uganda and East Africa as well. So we do safaris in East Africa, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Congo, the entire East Africa as well. And Kame Heritage Group was formed under Freshwater. It's a heritage that was formed to support the communities surrounding the national parks. We do assist the communities, mostly the orphans, the dropout of schools, those who have the chance, who have the talent to do handmade crafts. So we do a lot, but due to the pandemic, everything has been put on standstill, but we're trying to revive back. Thank you so much, Mr. John.
Unbelievable. Quite a bit of work you're doing out there. And as I recall, you took Lisa on a safari when she was down there in Uganda back in the fall. Lisa, maybe you could answer that one.
Again?
Oh, Kevin?
Well, I can tell you how we met. We met on social media, on Instagram. And there was a post about the Bwindi impenetrable forest. And I had never seen anyone, write about it, post about it, mention it before. And I just thought it was unique. And I messaged Kevin saying, hi, I'm writing a children's book that takes place in Bwindi impenetrable forest. And he answered back and we started this conversation and we talked for hours on end, for days on end, until he finally convinced me that although I'd written this book, I had to have my feet on the ground and experience this for myself in person. And that's how I ended up going to Uganda at Kevin's invitation. And what an invitation.
Unbelievable. And quite a journey you went on. Did we get you back, Kevin? Can you hear us now?
Hello, you can hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, Lisa was just sharing how you two met and went on the safari together.
Yeah,
Anything
I can hear
you might add to that story? Okay, good. How was it taking a first timer out on a safari? Have you done that before? I think we're having a little technical issue with Kevin's Wi-Fi, unfortunately, but thank you for sharing that story, Lisa. Kevin?
I think he's back.
Hello,
Are you
Mr.
back,
Jen?
Kevin? Yeah,
Hello.
there he is.
You can hear me?
Yes. Lisa was just sharing the story about when you two went out on a safari together.
Yeah, he's frozen. The other thing, he speaks of the Ishasha Center, the Heritage Center, and this is again, it's an orphanage, and there were about 40 children there. And I want to mention also that a very good friend of mine, she runs the San Francisco Firefighters Toy Program, and she donated several toys and school supplies, which I delivered to the Ashasha Center for the Children as well. So I have other people who are already on board and ready to participate with Kevin and bringing forth a desire to help and assist and to help communities in Uganda as well. So I don't know if Kevin's back yet, but there he is. Maybe.
Yeah, I can hear you, Lisa.
We have you.
Oh.
Well, maybe we'll move into the Q&A here for everybody.
Yeah, Mr. John, I can hear you.
Oh, great. Anything you add to Lisa's story about the taking her on safari in Uganda? Well, I'll encourage everyone that we're going to run a Q&A here in just a minute or two here for everybody. So please start to add questions in the chat. You'd like to learn more about Lisa's book or anything about Uganda and these incredible stories we've heard about this, about the Pearl of Africa. So please start putting your questions in the chat. And we'll bring them up on the screen.
John, if you may.
Yes.
John, if you may.
Yes.
Yes, I wanted to add a little bit of a story about windy, impenetrable forest and national park, where the plots of the gorilla is. This is in the southwestern part of Uganda, and the windy, impenetrable national park is part of World Heritage Sites, and we conserve this because of the values that it has for the whole world. And when gorilla tourism began and protection of the forest, some of the indigenous people that used to live in the forest were asked to come out of the forest. Uganda Wildlife Authority works now with the communities around the park, including the Batwa. The Batwa are the people that used to live in the forest, so that they showcase how they used to live using the traditional ways. And they are fully involved in showcasing their culture and how they live. So they actually act, perform, and some of them take visitors as guides to the forests. And in that, we offer them some revenue share. Part of the money that comes from tourism is given back to the communities, so that they also feel they're part of the chain. And some are employed by UA, others in private business. And as how Kevin comes in to support some of those initiatives that add to what Uganda Wildlife Authority is doing.
No, it is absolutely incredible to get this perspective about Uganda, a country that, as I said, I've learned so much about in the last few months. Watched a great documentary on Uganda on National Geographic recently that I really enjoyed. And just incredible to hear all of your stories, from Lisa's to being on the ground to those gentlemen here that have spent their life's work working in and around Uganda and conserving the animals. And now what such a fascinating connection that Lisa's created between helping young girls in STEAM and going after educations that can help really become and join part of this journey and have it be part of their education. So interesting. I'm happy to take, if you would, throw questions, any comments or questions you have in the chat. Happy to share those with the group. If you want to connect with Lisa, and if you did win one of the books, please shoot Lisa an email where we're figuring that out. It's wildlifedivas@gmail.com. Did I get that right, Lisa?
That is correct. Yes. Yes. Now, I also want to, there's someone else I want to thank, but he's not here right now. But when I visited Uganda, he took time out of his busy schedule to meet with me. And that is Dr. Fred of the Guerrilla Doctors. I can't say his last name properly, but Dr. Fred met with Kevin and I, and we sat and we spoke about the gorillas and what he does for a living. And actually, the Guerrilla Doctors are, they're out of UC Davis right here, like maybe 30, 40 minutes from where I live. And so that's I definitely have to thank Dr. Fred, although he's not here. He's probably in the forest taking care of gorillas right now. So yes, I need to thank him, as well as Stephen and David and Kevin. I really appreciate you guys being here today. Thank you. And you too, John, of course. I always thank you. But.
You're too kind. Looks like we have a question in the chat from Cleola. I think, what happened to the mountain gorilla? I think what I'm hearing here is maybe, sort of how did we get to 1,063, and was the number far bigger in the near distant past? I think is maybe some context here. Maybe Stephen, you want to take a shot at that one?
Yes, mountain gorillas are great apes, and of course they live in families and they live in a unique habitat. And that habitat for the East African region is on the Virungas. And the Virungas is shared both in 3 countries: Rwanda, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Uganda. But many of the gorillas, we say over 50% of the living mountain gorillas live in Uganda for now. Obviously, forests are areas that live under attack, because when population grows and human activity extends, the forests are normally encroached for livelihood. So some of those gorillas would have a diminishing area where they live. And some people who want to come and look for food and come to the forest would interfere with their environment. And of course, some of these areas are near borders, and some of the borders in the past have not been very, very safe. So you could find some of the mountain gorillas under crossroads for the different occupations and activities from the humans. However, we are happy to mention that, in the last few years, when we have had peace in the region, the three countries are working together, we have seen less or an improvement in the gorilla populations. And in Uganda, in the last two years, we have seen quite a number, over 19 gorillas being born within the last 2 years. And that is good. It seems that the conservation effort is paying off. And we are trying, through these efforts of publicizing the importance of the gorillas, people are trying to respect their boundaries and are reducing the encroachment and the incentive to attack and remove them from their natural habitat. I hope that answers the question, John.
I certainly, it feels like it's me. If Cleola, if you have a follow-up to that, please feel free to drop it in the chat. Lisa, here's a question. Thank you for that, Stephen. Lisa, here's a question for you from Kim. What activities are planned for the rest of your for your event in Uganda coming up? Maybe this is for all of you.
I think it's for all of us. So right now, I know David and Stephen mentioned having a festival, a Guerrilla Festival in May is when I will be returning to Uganda and promoting my book there at that time.
Incredible. Is this an annual event in Uganda?
And I also add that, yes, obviously the Uganda Tourism Board and the media and the ministry and all the tourism sector have piqued interest in the launch of the book. So there will be media events, actual conversation and presentation about the book after the launch or prior to the launch. And then there will be a visit of some of the characters or the people mentioned in the book to visit throughout the whole country and end up with the gorilla experience and the festival that David and ourselves are planning. So there's a lot. It will probably be 1 or 2 weeks of travel and discussion and presentation as part of the launch.
Absolutely incredible.
Maybe I'll speak into the festival very quickly. So the festival is part of the Home of the Gorillas initiative. And the angle is that you can connect virtually, but you should also always connect physically. So we're bringing people who've joined families, people who just care about conservation to be a part of this. Let's have some entertainment and some fun for conservation. That is the idea. And that's happening in the last week of May, really. It's a whole 1 week batch of activities, both in the gorilla areas in Buindi and also in the capital city, Kampala.
That is outstanding. A couple of questions here, and I know we're getting close on time, and David has to jump at the top of the hour. But one about what controls are in place to dissuade mountain gorilla poachers and your justice protocols. What do you have in place there to help with conservation?
Is that for me or is that for
sorry, Stephen.
Maybe
for Stephen.
It's really for Stephen.
Okay.
Sorry.
So one is the awareness, education and awareness, and we directly have community people that are involved in community awareness that go out to explain the importance of conservation of some of these key flagship species. We have people like Lisa mentioned, gorilla doctors, some people that are interested and ensure that when gorillas get injured, they are there to help and treat. But more importantly, on day-to-day basis, we have a team as Uganda Wildlife Authority that monitor the lives of the gorillas and movement. So every day there are trackers that know where they slept, what they ate. If we notice one is not there, we would definitely try to trace. And we have names, we name them, so we'll know which person or which individual has disappeared or has had a problem. But most importantly, is the support that we get from people that help us conserve, and many of those come in different ways. Support through such a book, some who are development partners, and also those who have profession and interest that can come and work with us. All those options are available for conservation promotion.
Incredible amount of work you're doing. I love the passion. I love the energy, and how exciting to have this tie-in with Lisa's new book, the Wildlife Divas Adventure Team. Stephen, Kevin, David, thank you. I think David had to jump off. Thank you so much for joining and being a part of this partnership. And if folks want to learn anything more about you, Stephen, where might they go to find more information? Anything besides your Instagram page?
Yes, we have Uganda Wildlife Authority, ugandawildlife.org, and I think that is the address that we can give for people to reach over.
Excellent. And Kevin, how about yourself? Where might people find more information about you if they're interested?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can hear you.
I'll put your banner up.
Hello?
There,
Kevin,
yeah.
You can hear me?
Let's Go Guerrilla.
yes.
Yeah. Now I can hear Mr.
I was just asking where people could find out more information about Let's Go Guerrilla.
Trying to ask me?
Yes, just where might people learn more about Let's Go Guerrilla?
So much, Mr. John. I was really interrupted. Yeah, I was really interrupted by the internet. You can find us on website www.letsgogorillauganda.com. You can find on our info at letsgogorillauganda.com. You can WhatsApp us at +256 774 622 683. I'm really sorry for the interruptions. I would like to share a lot.
It happens. It happens. And for those who might be interested in David's story, the guerrilla.family, you can go out, create I guess you use the word adopt a gorilla, name them. That's an incredible story. And last, but certainly not least, the star of the show here today, new author, Lisa Randolph. We have her email address. I think I have it up here on the screen here. For those of you who answer one of the questions, please email Lisa. Lisa, what would you like to leave our group here with today about your incredible journey here?
There was one question that if I could be met in person, I would absolutely love to meet in person. I would absolutely love to go into schools and talk about my book and bring my friend Rafiki here. Also, I just want to tell everyone thank you for being here. I'm so appreciative. This is a new journey for me, and you guys are all on board with this journey along with me. And I thank you for being here.
Unbelievable. I'll never forget the day we met, Lisa, and just watching you go through this journey has been a really special part of my life, and this mission that you're on, helping young girls, inspiring them, empowering them, and at the other end, having this brilliant mission of trying to help educate the world about the value and power of wildlife conservation. So Kevin, Stephen, David, thank you for being here today. If you want to find out more about Lisa, you can find her Instagram page at Wildlife Divas. Her email address is on the screen, wildlifedivas@gmail.com. And look for her in Uganda and other events coming up in the coming weeks and speaking engagements. But thank you all for joining us here today. Really appreciate your support. And if you'd like to learn more about New Degree Press, you can find more at newdegreepress.com. But thank you again. Have a lovely rest of the day. And go find Lisa's book on Amazon or wherever you buy books online. And take a look at Uganda. It sounds like an absolutely incredible place. Thank you all. Have a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you.